electronics and refrain from creating any disruptive sounds. At this time, I'd like to invite Pastor Tracy Johnson from Emmanuel Baptist Church to come forward to lead us in the invocation. Please rise.
Thank you. If you'll join me in prayer. Father God, we come before you. We thank you for the opportunity to be here. We thank you for this day. We ask for your grace and your blessing upon our city of San Bernardino. Thank you for the block party last Saturday and what it meant to the community. And we thank you for the city's help in all that they do. We ask for your guidance upon our mayor and council and staff as they deliberate this day. In your name, Lord Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Now I would like to invite Ms. Amaranta Banuelos from the Mildred Dalton Henry Elementary School, and she will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
If you have hats on, please take them off. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. I'd like to ask the city attorney if there's anything to report out from closed session.
There is, Mayor. Agenda item B. Under agenda item B, a significant exposure to litigation. The council gave directive regarding exposure to litigation alleging Brown Act violation. That was by consensus with Councilperson Marquez absent. Matter of item C, listed as the City of San Bernardino versus Wing Ing. Council gave settlement directive by a vote of 6-0, Marquez absent. Item C, listed as one item under initiation of litigation. The mayor and city council by a vote of 5-0, Valdivia and Marquez absent, given direction to initiate litigation. The action, defendants, and other particulars shall, once formally commenced, be disclosed to any person upon inquiry, unless to do so would jeopardize the city's ability to effectuate service or the ability to conclude settlement negotiations. And under item D, listed as the city manager, mayor and council completed the performance evaluation of our city manager. That's it.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Mr. Taylor Rahm if you could join me at the podium. Thank you. As you know, many times in our council meetings, we like to highlight some of the accomplishments of the families and students from San Bernardino. At this time, I'd like to share a little bit with you about Taylor Rahm, some of his accomplishments. Taylor and his 7 siblings were raised in San Bernardino. Taylor attended North Park Elementary, Richardson Prep High Middle School, and Cajon High School. Taylor received his Master's of Business Administration with a concentration in Information Assurance and Security Management from California State University, San Bernardino. While in graduate school at Cal State San Bernardino, Taylor was a recipient of the Cyber Corps Scholarship for Service Scholarship a full-ride academic scholarship sponsored by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. National Science Foundation. Taylor also received a Bachelor's of Science from Brigham Young University, Idaho, with a minor in Mandarin Chinese. While in the university, Taylor completed internships with Cal State San Bernardino's Information Security Office, the U.S. Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., and Huzhou China Eagle Electronic Technology in Guangdong, China. Currently, Taylor Rahm is a principal advisor for industrial and operational technology cybersecurity for the international mining and metals company Rio Tinto. With more than 120 operations in 40 different countries, Rio Tinto is currently valued at $105 billion and ranked among the world's largest companies. In his current role, Taylor leads industrial control systems and operational technology cybersecurity projects and assessments for Rio Tinto's mines, ports, metal manufacturing plants, and other critical infrastructure around the world that help mitigate and reduce cyber attacks by rogue nation-states, terrorist groups, hacktivists, and more. In this position, Taylor is also the lead for ICS Cyber Threat Intelligence and is the liaison with U.S. federal government for related matters. Prior to working at Rio Tinto, Taylor lived and worked in Washington, D.C. for 4.5 years, working as a cybersecurity specialist for the U.S. Department of Energy. While working in the federal government, Taylor worked on national security projects ranging from counterterrorism, cyber threat intelligence, critical infrastructure protection, and more. Taylor worked on both unclassified and top-secret classified projects with the White House, Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Department of Homeland Security, the National Security Agency, the Department of Defense, the Coast Guard, and other government agencies. Taylor has also been an adjunct professor at Cal State San Bernardino, where he taught a senior-level course in information systems cybersecurity. Taylor possesses numerous professional certifications, including the Certified Ethical Hacker and Certified Security Analyst. Taylor is an Eagle Scout and also speaks Mandarin Chinese fluently. Taylor, it is an honor to present you with this certificate of recognition. We are grateful for you and ask that you keep up the good work and continue making San Bernardino proud.
Well, thank you. This is quite an honor. I grew up in San Bernardino, did my master's here. My family's been here about 40 years. And I really think for me in my career, growing up in such a diverse city where I grew up playing sports and I grew up with all types of backgrounds, and that has helped me learn to get along with people of all different backgrounds. And, I really do love the city of San Bernardino. In Washington, D.C., you'll go to a lot of social networking gatherings, and people go, "Oh, Taylor, he's from California as well." And they bring people over who are often from San Diego, Orange County, or Los Angeles. And they say, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "Oh, I'm from San Bernardino." And oftentimes they go, "San Bernardino? Isn't that kind of dangerous?" And I'm like, well, I mean, D.C. has dangerous cities as well. But oftentimes I was in a more senior government position than them. I think they were starting to understand that San Bernardino actually has a lot of good that comes out of it, and starting to make a name for ourselves. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Cameron to come forward from Assemblymember Steinhorst's office. He has a presentation also for you.
Mine's definitely a lot shorter than Mayor Davis's. But from our office, we just wanted to say we're proud of you and we appreciate you as well. So from the office of Assemblymember Mark Steinhorst, we want to say thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Taylor. Taylor's parents are also here supporting him. Professor Tapie Rahm has been a professor at Cal State San Bernardino in the cybersecurity. Next, as I read your name, if you would come forward, this is in recognition of the San Bernardino Police Explorer Post 303, And if you will come and stand, starting at that end of the dais, and then just make a circle around here as I call your name. Captain Sam Moriyama, Lieutenant Cameron Zink, Sergeant Raquel Roman, Sergeant Alex Cruz, Explorer Billy Leppi, Explorer Anaya Paladin, Explorer Jasmine Paladin, Explorer Jose Rodriguez, Explorer Ty Foster, Explorer Samantha Spencer, Explorer Yadira Valdez, Explorer Jose Velasco, Explorer Daniel Jaramillo, Explorer Rafael Vicario, and Explorer Devin Caldron, Explorer Alex Lopez. And to my left, we have the post advisors. Exploring is a life of learning, and it's an affiliate of the Boy Scouts of America. The San Bernardino Police Explorer Post was first chartered on May 1st, 1968. The program continues to train the youth of our community. The Explorers volunteer on an average of 20 hours a month per Explorer. They volunteer their time helping at the police department and community outreach events, traffic control at parades, festivals, and other community events locally in other cities. The Explorer program gives youth between the ages of 14 and 21 hands-on experience and awareness of the criminal justice system through training, practical experiences, competition, and other activities. Additionally, the program promotes character development, respect for the rule of law, physical fitness, good citizenship, and patriotism. Explorers will benefit from interpersonal growth through the self-discipline, teamwork, challenging experiences, and high standards of performance and personal conduct. The program allows explorers to make an informed decision on a career in law enforcement or related subjects. On behalf of the City Council Member Marquez and myself and all of the City Council members, it's our pleasure to honor and recognize you this evening with these certificates from the City of San Bernardino. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council members, and you, the public, for participating in this event today. My name is Joey Zink. I'm a sergeant for the City of San Bernardino. I've been a police officer for approximately 28 years, and I am one of the older people that have been an explorer here, not here particularly, but at a police department, so I'm an end result of being an explorer. I took a poll from our local police department for City of San Bernardino and asked how many officers were prior explorers, whether here or other agencies, and over 50 officers came back with a affirmative, yes, they were prior explorers. So it's an excellent program for kids from 14 to 21 to experience what a police officer is and what they can accomplish out here. There are a couple things I want to recognize. Number one is the family influence, their willingness. I want to thank the family for being here today, for participating with the Explorers as well. You're a reason why there's a huge success to this program. These kids rely heavily upon you, your dedication, your time, your effort to get them to the events, to the meetings, and spend a little bit of money on them. So with that, I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank the Explorers for being out here. I want to thank the Chief of Police and the Assistant Chief for believing in this program and helping us out. And by the way, the Chief and the Assistant Chief were also prior Explorers as well. So again, I want to say thank you very much for recognizing these individuals.
We'd have the council come forward and have a picture with these explorers. Appreciate the police department, their support of this program. Also want to thank Councilmember Marquez for asking me to fill in for that presentation. I would next like to ask our Quality of Life team, any of those members that are on that team, to join me at the podium. Thank you. We just wanted to acknowledge the award that they received by the Inland Empire Economic Partnership. It's a public-private partnership. They were the winner of an award, and we just wanted to present them to you and let you know that your Quality of Life team was recognized, and we congratulate them for their fine efforts. And these are some of the awards that they received. It's Turning Red Tape into Red Carpet, 2017, a public-private partnership. City of San Bernardino, in conjunction with Burtec, San Bernardino Quality of Life team, thank you for your commitment for a job and creation and economic growth for the Inland Empire. Anybody?
Here, I'll say something.
Okay. I think, Fred, did you want to say something?
Just thank you very much for what you're doing. I think the public has recognized that that Quality of Life team is working, and I'm personally thrilled with it. We've got a monumental task on our hands out there, and you guys are doing just a terrific job. And I just want to compliment you for it and keep up the good work. It's been really great, and there's no doubt that we've seen improvements on our streets because of your efforts.
I appreciate it.
Mayor, I also have some comments. I wanted to send my deep appreciation to our police officers and Quality of Life team, all the kind of nuts and bolts that go into the planning and the processing and protocols. I know that in my discovery of what you guys do, I appreciate your dedication and commitment to make sure that those sofas and couches and all the junk on the side streets and the right-of-way. I know my district has been very fond of the Quality of Life team, and we thank you, Mayor, for your efforts and your initiative of making sure that this is a priority amongst all of our departments. So we appreciate you. Gentlemen, we thank you for your efforts.
I appreciate it. Just a quick note, Lieutenant, can you come down here, Lieutenant Lawhead? And I just wanted to let everyone know it was a collaborative effort. Burtec's part of it. I know they didn't want to come down here, or we also have city employees, city crew members. It's not just us. It's a collaborative effort of everyone here, and the support we've gotten from council, from the mayor's office, from the city of San Bernardino, I truly do appreciate it. I think that what makes this so successful, it does really cut the red tape, and it lets us to do our job. But without the efforts of everyone, I think we wouldn't have been able to get how far we have been. I do appreciate everyone here at the city attorney's office, everyone that's helped us out. I don't know if the lieutenant wanted to say a few words.
No, I think Manny covered it. It is a group effort. I don't think we've ever had anything like this where we work with Parks and Public Works and get through the red tape. It's great to be able to just pick up the phone, get somebody to see how we'll get right on that. And it's one of those things that we don't just come up here and show you statistics and say it works. You can visibly see it when you go home. That mattress is gone, that couch is gone, those things are gone. It's cleaned up, and the residents have totally bought into that. And we see that in all the phone messages and everything else we get on a daily basis. So it's a group effort. It really is a group effort. Thank you.
Next presentation will be presented by our council member Mulvihill.
Thanks, Mayor. The council and the mayor are ourselves very honored to be able to recognize our outstanding students in San Bernardino. And today we're able to recognize one of those, Victor Espinosa Serrano. While Victor's coming down here, Victor is a senior at Indian Springs High School. He was born and raised in San Bernardino. Victor attended Bonnie Ole and Bing Wong Elementary Schools, Curtis Middle School, and now he's at Indian Springs High School, where he will graduate as valedictorian for the class of 2017, which I think is an accomplishment. Very nice job. His father, Victor, works for McLean Industries, and his mom, Maria, works for Totally Kids. They're in the audience today. Would they like to stand up? Victor's brother, Fernando, is in 8th grade at Curtis Middle School, and is he here? His sister, Maritza, is in the 2nd grade at Bing Wong. And last but not least, his sister, Nydia, is a student at UC Irvine. The family also has a female husky dog named Cat, which is, I don't think I've ever heard of a dog named Cat. Victor's school activities include the Gaming Club, National Honor Society, and he's the manager for the school's girls volleyball team. His extracurricular activities consist of volunteering at his church and during school breaks assisting teachers in organizing their classrooms. Victor is a member of the varsity volleyball team. His favorite subjects are science and math, and for that reason, especially with a 4.7 grade point average, which we should... Victor plans to attend UC Berkeley, UC Irvine, or UC Riverside. Which one do you think? Berkeley. Berkeley? Okay. My daughter went there too, so it's Victor's message. Well, I'm going to let Victor give you the message.
I'd like to say to everybody that's from San Bernardino, not to label yourself different from everybody else just because of where you're from. I believe we all have the opportunity to be someone that you want to be, and that we should find our passions in anything that you set your mind to.
And here is a Student of the Month commendation, along with the lapel pin. Work proudly. Here, we're going to get some. Oops. And we also have recognition from Assemblyman Steiner's office.
Thank you, Councilmember Mulvihill. Next, our next presentation will be presented by Councilmember John Valdivia.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to invite Mr. and Mrs. Aguilar. I want, on behalf of Councilmember Marquez, who could not be here to attend this and present it to you, On behalf of the Common Council of the City of San Bernardino, we have a commendation on the mayor and City Council honoring an American hero, Cesar Chavez, for the 6th annual memorial breakfast, Si Se Puede. I want to read a few of the distinguishing characteristics on this commendation for this very important event that I will be attending. In fact, I just bought a table, so we're excited to be there and very supportive of this. Whereas a child of migrant workers who struggled just to get by, Cesar Chavez knew the importance of having an economy that works for everyone and devoted his life to ensuring our nation upheld the values upon which it was founded. On his birthday, we celebrate a man who reminded us, above all else, that we all share a common humanity, each of us having our own value and contributing to the same destiny, and we carry forward his legacy by echoing his peaceful and eloquent calls for a more just and equal society. And whereas our nation's progress has always been driven by the belief that the extraordinary things happen when we come together around a common cause, and through decades of organizing and serving others, Cesar Chavez embodied this ideal. On Cesar Chavez Day, let us unite to reach for the America he knew was possible, one in which hard work is rewarded. I believe that, don't you? That's wonderful. One in which hard work is rewarded, prosperity is shared, and equal opportunity is the right of all our people. Now, therefore, be it resolved on behalf of the citizens of San Bernardino, the mayor and the city council do hereby declare Friday, March 31st, 2017, as Cesar Chavez Day, and call upon all citizens to observe this day with appropriate service, community, and education programs to honor Cesar Chavez as we continue the tradition and legacy that he carried out by embracing the true meaning of the holiday and getting involved with community projects. Presented this 20th day of March 2017, signed by our mayor and all the council members. We certainly are very, very excited for you, and we wish you the best. And at this time, I'd like for Patricia Aguilar, the Chicano Latino Caucus IE, if you have a few words, Ms. Aguilar. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Davis, City Council members, City Attorney Sine, and City Clerk Hannah, and David Kennedy, City Treasurer, and City staff and members of the public. Hello, my name is Patricia Aguilar. I am President of the Chicano Latino Caucus of San Bernardino County. Along with me is my husband, George Aguilar, President of LULAC of the Inland Empire and Secretary of the Caucus. On behalf of the Chicano Latino Caucus, it's given me much pride to receive this honor and proclamation. We are making sure that we keep the memory of Cesar E. Chavez alive because of the many accomplishments, not only when it comes to farm workers' rights, but also for the working Americans who received benefits of better working conditions through some of the laws helped passed by the farm workers and Caesars. Many hunger strikes, marching, lobbying, sacrifice, including his death on the last hunger strike. I want to especially thank Council Member Marquez and Mayor Pro Tem Valdivia for buying a table each, and for Mayor Pro Tem Valdivia donating a print of Cesar Chavez that's going to be auctioned off at the breakfast, and it's a big old picture that's going to be auctioned off. And also, Cesar has a strong ties to San Bernardino, having been trained to be union organizer and also leader here in the Del Rosa area of San Bernardino. We will continue working to preserve his many his memory, and que viva Cesar Chavez and all the city of San Bernardino. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Valdivia. Next, we'll invite Councilmember Fred Chevrolet to the podium for a presentation of Citizen of the Month.
Thank you, Mayor. It's my pleasure this month to recognize the Citizen of the Month, which is actually this month is going to be Citizens of the Month. And I have some members of the Ollie McDonald Senior Talent Showcase that are here. So if ladies and gentlemen, if you'd join me here, I'd like to give a little information on your showcase and recognize what you're doing for the community. This is but a small group of a pretty big group that puts this event on. Since 1988, the Ollie McDonald Senior Talent Showcase has performed each year, sponsored and supported by the City of San Bernardino Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Department. 30 seniors from ages 50 to 87 plus will sing, dance, and manage the setup and technical stage roles to produce this professional show. This year's theme is Magnificent Maturity, and magnificent it is to see how seniors who have been rehearsing weekly continue to grow and to engage the audience with their creative performances. The show consists of 2 acts and 20 performers in each day's show. A little bit about Ollie McDonald. You know, I always thought it had something to do with McDonald's burgers, but it doesn't. Actually, Ollie McDonald was a gifted tenor who volunteered his talent to many events, brightening lives of those who heard him sing. In 1944, he is remembered for winning first place out of a field of 5,000 and was a stand-in for Lawrence Tibbett of the National Opera. He encouraged the cultural arts here in our city. San Bernardino is encouraging all cultural arts, and we honor and recognize magnificent maturity, of which I am one. I'm not so sure about magnificent. No, I don't. As the kickstart of our Art Day events this month and events that will soon follow in April. Magnificent Maturity will be held at 1:30 p.m. on Saturday, March 25th. That's this coming Saturday, correct? Correct. 2 weeks from this coming Saturday.
This Saturday.
That's what I think I said.
Yes.
Okay, this coming Saturday, the 25th, and Sunday, the 26th.
Right.
They're confusing me. At the Sturgis Center for Fine Arts, then that's located over on East Street at 789 North East Street. General admission is $8 for those that are 10 years of old and up. Is that right?
Yes.
So anyone under that gets in free?
Yes.
And tickets are now available at all of our senior centers. Many of the performers in the show have had acclaimed professional careers on the stage. For some, their aging has been very challenging, yet they continue to perform. Other performers are fulfilling a lifelong dream that their careers may have prevented. Each performer is unique and dedicated to contribute his or her gift in song and dance to our community, and each shares their biography in the show's booklet. This year's show, The Magnificent Maturity, is an inspiration to all ages to enjoy the afternoon of dance and music with their family, and hopefully, as role models, encourage others to enter to the entertainment field. So I, along with the mayor and council, are pleased to recognize and honor these showstopper seniors who continue the tradition of volunteer service to enrich our community. Theatrical superstition has it that it's bad luck to wish someone good luck in a play. So instead, we wish them something the opposite, and you all know that we generally say, break a leg.
Oh, no. Not me.
I'm pleased to make the entire Ollie McDonald cast and crew our Citizens of the Month and wish them the very best on this year's event. We thank you. Now go out and break a leg. We have a certificate that you can display somewhere. We just have one. Do we need one for every senior place in town? But here's one that you can all share and post somewhere. We appreciate you. Shirley, I appreciate you for helping me or encouraging me to put this together. And anyone here that would like to?
Each one has one small thing to say.
Okay. Well, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, and I hope to see some of you at our show.
This Saturday and Sunday.
Yes. Correct.
It's been a pleasure working with all the talented seniors in the county of San Bernardino. And if you show, you'll find that there are some great performers at this show. Thank you.
He's been a great performer. How many times?
4 times.
Well, I've been in it about 10 years. I'm probably one of the older ones. I'm 86 years old. At one point, I was told I'd never walk again. But that's what we do. We performers, we persevere and come back year after year. And I have a quick message from Colleen Sale, who was the director for 26 years. Now she's co-director due to age and health problems. She's stepped down a little. And I just want to tell you that she wishes everybody will come to our show, and she wants to thank all the audiences that have come in the past and all the supporters of our group, because it takes a lot of support, and the City Department of Parks and Recreation, because without them, we wouldn't be able to have it at Sturgis. And this is a very beautiful stage, and we thank you all so much for letting us use it and helping support our group.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm not one of the performers. I am a 7th Ward Commissioner of Councilman Jim Mobilehill. I am basically here for support, and I went last year. It was very good. So we encourage you to come and be a part of it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nellie Frazier, and I'm a Senior Fair Commissioner person. And we would like for everyone to really come out, because with this every year, there have been few people come out. No, it's not advertised any place, not the way I see it. And it needs to be published more. And please come out. If you don't come, send you $8.
I was in this show once, and what it did for me is it continued my performance. When I was a little kid, this was one in my bucket that I never did during my career. And so they encouraged me to get out. And so I still sing, and we go to healthcare places and rehabilitation places to sing karaoke. So it's been a very special thing for me. This year's dedication is to Keoki Areola. If you remember him, he's remembered for the chicken song, and he played the ukulele. And so this year's performance by the group is dedicated to him, and we're very sorry we lost him, but his memory will always be with us, as will many of the other members that have been over 29 years performing for this city. And it's been a gem for this city, and that's why we thank you very much for recognizing that in the city. Thank you very much, Fred.
Is there something new in the show?
Oh, yes. Is there something new in the show? Oh.
Magic act.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Charette. Next, we'll turn some time over to Jack Avakian from the San Bernardino Area Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, staff members, members of the public. Jack Avakian, San Bernardino Chamber of Commerce. and I hope I can get through this before my voice goes, or I'll be trying to do some performing out here. Thursday, March 23rd, we'll have our Chamber's Business After Hours, which will be held at the Lestonic Free Clinic at 401 East 21st Street at 5 o'clock p.m. To RSVP, call 885-7515. On Tuesday, March 28th, the San Bernardino Chamber Panama Trip presentation meeting will be held at the Chamber office at 5:30 p.m. RSVP 885-7515. Also, along with the Chamber trip, just a reminder that we've already scheduled a Chamber trip to China, which is leaving November 3rd and returning on the 11th of this year. Anyone interested may call Lupe at 885-7515. Friday, April 14th, is our San Bernardino Chamber Government Affairs legislative breakfast featuring our new Assembly member, Eloise Gomez Reyes, from the 47th Assembly District. That's at 7:30 a.m. and will be held at the Arrowhead Country Club. You can RSVP, guess the number, 885-7515. Save the date, San Bernardino Area's 41st Annual Law Enforcement Recognition Dinner, honoring the California Highway Patrol, San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, San Bernardino City Police Department, Cal State University San Bernardino Police Department, San Bernardino Community College District Police Department, San Bernardino City Unified School District Police Department, and the Special K-9 Unit. That will be held Thursday, June 8th. We have sponsorship opportunities available, and for reservations, call 885-7515. I thought the audience would have said that by now. Sir, gentlemen, and ladies, that concludes my announcements, and I thank you very much.
Thank you. Cameron, did you have anything to announce? No. Thank you. Appreciate your attendance at our meeting this evening. We have two appointments. The first appointment is by Council Member Richard. She's requested the appointment of Edgar Mota to the Parks and Recreation Commission. We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
On items 8 and 9, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Valdivia, the second by Ms. Richard, and they passed 6-0.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to ask Edgar Mota to come up to this podium, please. Shall I say my good friend Edgar Mota? Thank you. It is with great pleasure to recommend you to be my Parks and Rec Commissioner. I don't know if Gigi wants to swear you in before. Okay, Gigi. Okay, he's on here. I, Edgar Mota, do solemnly swear. Do you support me to defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic? Bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. That I take this obligation to do without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Okay. And I'm going to speak a little bit about Edgar. Edgar, the oldest of three children, Edgar Mota, was innately responsible at a very young age. He developed a love for nature, the arts, and is a self-taught musician. Athletic from a young age, Edgar played sports through his youth because he enjoyed being outdoors.
A year after he and his wife purchased a home in San Bernardino, Edgar accepted a position at the Transitional Assistance Department call center as an eligibility worker for San Bernardino County. Although he has nearly 11 years of experience assisting those in need, he felt the need to do more. Partnering his love for nature and his community, he applied for the Parks and Recreation Commissioner position with the City of San Bernardino, representing our 6th Ward, in the hopes of improving the landscape of our city. So with this, Edgar, here is your certificate.
Thank you, Councilmember. This is an honor for me. I don't know what else to say. I hope to do my best in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Our next appointment was requested by Councilmember Marquez. She's asked that Mr. Carlos Gomez be appointed to the Parks and Recs Commission.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
On item 9, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Charette, the second by Mr. Valdivia.
Yes.
And it passed 6-0.
Thank you. Councilmember Mulvihill will make that presentation on behalf of Councilmember Marquez.
Congratulations. The bio is on its way. But in the meantime, Councilwoman Marquez asked me to pass on her. She's so very pleased that you accepted her offer to join the Parks and Rec Commission. Jim Tickmeyer, the new director, is very much active in terms of improving the parks we do have in the city. Now, Carlos is Secretary-Treasurer, Southern California District Council of the Laborers Delegate, Political Action Committee, Co-Captain, Hod Carriers and Laborers Local 783. For over 25 years working as an advocate for workers' rights, representing over 1,500 heavy highway and construction craft laborers in San Bernardino, Inyo, and Mono counties. Born September 21st, 1966, raised in San Bernardino, and he's a Cardinal. Graduated from San Bernardino High School in 1984. As a young man growing up in San Bernardino barrio, he knew he had potential to do more with his life than to follow the footsteps of friends who would later end up in prison or worse. He decided to follow the footsteps of his father, a proud union man who provided a good life for his wife and kids. In the industry, worked himself up from a general laborer to a lead man, and from lead man to a foreman, and became more involved with the labor union and represented. Later elected to the executive board of the labor union, and then was hired as a field representative. Now presently seated as a committee member to the California State Recognized Apprenticeship Program, paying forward all the opportunities given to him by the next generation of construction professionals in the industry. Currently proudly serving his local union in the capacity of Secretary-Treasurer.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I will find out more about this and see what I have to do and really get involved in it because I love my city. My family's been in this city for over 90 years, and I hope to continue. Thank you, guys.
Here's the council.
Thank you, Councilman. We will next move to our consent calendar. We have 4 speakers. The first speaker is Shirley Harlan.
Councilmember Shirley Harlan. It's number 13, the coordinator of volunteers job description and classification. It was the first that I was aware of it when I read it in the agenda, and I'm curious as to how you're going to implement it and how it affects the RSVP program for seniors in the city. What is the implementation of this? The last time I talked to the present coordinator of RSVP and asked for some assistance, she did explain a wide range of activities at this time and how full she was with the work that she had to do now. I think there are other volunteers of coordinators in the city, and I just wonder, what is the thinking of it? And this did not come to the commission at all to tell us that this was pending. I know that the city charter, that you're looking at how to redo things, and that's a fine thing. But as a citizen, as you make changes, it would be helpful to us citizens to know ahead of time how this will affect it. And there are funds. It doesn't say which grant fund is included in this. And when I briefly read the couple pages that describe this, it looks more like that somebody should make an application. It looks like more of an application and what the criterias are for the upcoming classification. So it did not, as a citizen, give me enough information to know what the purpose of combining volunteer coordinators in the city would do and how it would affect what is already happening. Is this person in the city, or is it still going to be under the Parks and Recreation Committee? That's where she is. The present RSVP person, as I understand it, presents things to. So I have all these questions, and I hope that you will give us some more information. So I do not have whether I approve or disapprove at this time. What I'm trying to say is that as you streamline things or however you look at things, as a citizen, I would appreciate a lot more understanding of your reasoning and how it would affect us. And this possibly could affect us if this person is doing all the volunteering coordination for the city. How much of her time would be devoted to the senior citizens of the city? And that's why I felt I should speak today.
Thank you. The next speaker is Juan Ramirez.
Good afternoon, respectable city mayor, city attorney, city manager, and members of the city council. The purpose of me being here today is to address items number 15 and 16 regarding safety and improvement. I'm the property owner of 3564 Little Mountain Drive in San Bernardino, and ever since I moved there have been a numerous number of collisions happening where the vehicles are rolling over onto my property, causing considerable damage. And on top of that, because drivers, most of them, are not insured, so I end up picking up the bill. The major cause of these rollovers are mainly speeding. People use Little Mountain Drive as a racetrack, where the speed limit is only 30 miles per hour. People are driving 50 to 70 miles an hour. And the problem is this, that I have been tolerant of the accidents because all these past years, the cars have been rolling onto my property, but not close to the dwelling of the property. But the last 3 accidents, people have been going up Little Mountain Drive, and they have crashed the gate now. So my fear and concern is that one of these days, not only would I get killed coming in, going into my property or coming out, but that they will hit the dwelling. So I would like to ask in a very respectful way, in a very humble way, for the members of the city government to address this issue 2 ways. One, I would like to have a guardrail installed to divide posting traffic, and if not, to put K-rails. This way, at least I would be kind of safe going in and out of the property. I understand that by putting a divider or K-rails in the middle, I wouldn't be able to go into my property going up. But I don't mind. I can go all the way to Kendall Drive, make a U-turn, and come back. The other issue I would like to address is that there's no street lighting, which prompts people to go and dump junk along Little Mountain Drive, old mattresses, old tires, and all that. Obviously, that's a secondary thing. I've gone to planning. They send me to Edison. Edison sends me back to city planning, so I keep going back and forth. So that's all I would like to ask you, and I hope I have trust in city government that these issues will be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Robert Porter.
City Manager, Council, Mayor, people. So we have a new charter in, and City Manager has quite a bit of power. And as we increase past contracts, for number 21, we're going to increase it from 5,000 to 10,000. Now, the military banner program is incredible. I love it, very much so. But since we're moving into new areas and new things, I'd like to know who owns this company and if they've given us discounts for veterans or anything like that. Because with the stuff for the veterans, and I was trying to, when we did the rock out front, I got all these offers for help, for a lot of help. And it turned out they didn't need to offer that money, but it was there. And there's lots of programs, I'm sure, or lots of organizations that would love to help us with these military banners. So maybe we should, $5,000, that's a lot of money, and we've been giving it to them for over 3 years. Did we bid out again for cheaper prices? Is there another company that would do it better for us, just for the veterans, for free maybe? I don't know. But just increasing the money willy-nilly, to me, doesn't always seem like the best idea. We should definitely be looking at possibilities to save even $5,000. This is a lot of money. I love veterans with all my heart. My father's a veteran. But $5,000, and I don't even see who really owns this thing and things like that. I want to look a little more deeper in here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Concluding speaker for consent calendar items is Carmel Rowe. Do we have any items to be pulled? We'll start with Councilmember Mulvihill. Thank you. Councilmember Richard.
Item number 14.
Councilmember Nichol.
Items 15 and 16.
Councilmember Charette.
I have none.
Councilmember Valdivia.
None today, sir.
Councilmember Barrios.
None, sir. Move for approval.
A motion and second, please vote.
No. Yeah, move the bill.
On the consent calendar, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Valdivia, the second by Mr. Mulvihill, and it passed 6-0.
Thank you. Item number 14, the recommendation is to adopt a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of San Bernardino authorizing the city manager to execute a contract between the city of San Bernardino and California Waters Development, Inc. for the Nunez Park Pool Filtration Replacement Project. Councilmember Richard?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just had one question, and that was, I got a lot of questions as to when the pool was going to be open and ready, and was there age requirements on the pool, the pool?
Yes, the pools are going to be open on our regular schedule. Would you mind if I bring Mitch Asuma down from our aquatics division to elaborate on the details?
Good afternoon. I was going to say good evening, but I guess it's not there yet. I don't know when it is. So to answer your question, our aquatic season for 2017 for all of our pools will open up on June the 5th, which is a Monday. We have some other activities go on just prior to that, and we have our Operation Splash kickoff event the Friday before that on June the 2nd, which you're all invited to. Seen some of you out there before. And then the age group, it's all ages. So there's no age restriction.
Thank you.
Move for approval.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
On item 14, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Valdivia, the second by Mr. Mulvihill, and it passed 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is item 15, a recommendation to adopt a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of San Bernardino approving the 5-year capital project needs analysis 2017 through 2022 for Measure I, 2010-2040 Valley Major Street Program.
Mayor, I asked that this item be pulled. I also asked for item 16 to be pulled without objection. I think it might be appropriate to take them together. I think they're more or less related, and I think my questions are related to both. So with that, first I'd like to thank Mr. Ramirez for being here this evening. You've expressed some concerns that have been expressed by numerous constituents, both in the Fifth Ward as well as individuals from outside our city. There's growing concern about the condition on Little Mountain Drive, specifically as you head north from Edge Hill up to the top of the hill. The condition of the asphalt is degrading. There have been several accidents there. There are junior high school students that walk that route every day. And without proper guard railings, I'm very concerned about the safety of pedestrians. There's been concern expressed to me about the engineering on that roadway, as well as obviously a property owner that's been adversely affected on numerous occasions. I have multiple photos of several incidents that have occurred on that property, cars actually veering off the road and crashing into Mr. Ramirez's property. This is, to me, a growing challenge. I'm reviewing this list. I have yet to see Little Mountain added to this list, and perhaps you can educate me in terms of what the process is in terms of moving forward on getting that project added to our CIP and what opportunities there might be for funding such a project, given these different funding sources. Specifically, if you could just quickly explain what the CPNA is and how that relates to our CIP.
Okay, just really quickly, this is not our CIP. This is merely a planning document that we need to revert back to the SBCTA. This is a 5-year planning analysis that we need to have a resolution and be sent back to the SBCTA. This is specifically to the, as it relates to the Valley Street program, and I believe there's 4 projects.
How are those projects determined?
I believe these are regional arterial projects, and I believe they are, I'd like to bring Mike Grubbs down in Saba, down there, the specific project managers. The specific projects and how they're handled, they relate specifically to the regional traffic circulation program.
While they're coming down, I think item 15 is what Chris is referring to right now, in terms of the regional arterial projects. And I think 16 does include the long list that's virtually unreadable, I'm afraid, even with new eyes. And that list mirrors what we were talking about with our capital budget. But we haven't adopted it yet. We're bringing it back, and there have been some requests. I've definitely got Little Mountain on my list of requests to look at the timing.
So that's for 15, correct? On 16, how we arrived at that list is when we approved our list for Measure I spending, we took that to council and approved those specific projects.
Okay, and what is the timeline in terms of revising that list? When will be the next opportunity to revise that list?
We're going to bring it back with the budget, so it's about a month away.
Okay, so we're a month away, and then that will be the time at which we review that list and make potential modifications and amendments?
Yes, and if we may have to amend what we send into SBCTA, but we can do that.
Okay, so then just quickly to get back to item 15, what is the process of determining these particular projects, if you can just...
On 15?
Yes. How are these projects determined? What is the process in which these projects are identified under the capital project needs analysis? Explain that process to me so I understand. People were asking me these questions yesterday. I don't have a lot of explanation in terms of what that process is or how we make the determination as to what projects end up.
Sure. When we sit down and we have the matching funds and we sit down with SBCTA, they're looking at the overall arterial program, and it has to match with how the funding sources are allocated per region. SBCTA allocates it by the overall jurisdictions, and they say, here's your particular funding amount. The city takes a look at our arterial funding. We say, we're going to be able to allocate that based on our particular road index map and how the deterioration is come into play. And that's how we selected it, particularly at that time.
So these projects are based on what criteria? What criteria do we use when SBCTA comes to us and says you're, more or less, correct me if I'm wrong, but, we have X dollars applicable to your projects that have a certain matching component, I would assume, correct? There's a certain amount of match that the city is obligated to be eligible for that funding. Is that how it works?
That's correct.
Okay. And then what is the process then we use to identify which arterials? You say it's the how degraded the
that's one component. Yes,
that's one component. What are the other components that are used? And is that purely? I assume that's purely a staff
That's the staff component, yes, it has to, when it gets into the Valley Major Street Program, there's specific areas and jurisdictions within that that it has to fall into also. So the location is another component. There's a whole set of guidelines, so they hand you a guideline handbook where the locations it has to fall under.
Can I add to that? I think most, if not all, of these projects have been projects that have been selected in the past and adopted.
Oh, yeah.
Budgets.
That's
I don't
correct.
think there's anything new in item 15.
Not at all.
I think my question is, how are these specific, what's the criteria that determines that these projects, that's the question I'm getting. Why did we choose these?
And I don't know that the current staff, maybe Mike has a little bit of background, far enough back to know the answer to that, but these are projects that are of a regional nature that have been listed in the past by whatever process was adopted.
Listed where? I've never seen, I don't know which.
If you look at last year's capital budget, the council adopted it.
Yeah.
The CIP?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this does tie back to the CIP?
Sure. All these projects would be listed in the CIP.
Okay, and that was my question.
Yes.
And then the question I get is, why were these projects chosen under the CIP? And it sounds like there's multiple criteria that are used to make that determination?
Well, I mean, it has to comply overall with the conforming rules of SBCTA and their guidelines.
Measure I.
Right, and Measure I. But, the city is the ultimate determining factor, and we just pulled them from what council had approved in the past.
Okay, well then quickly, could you just go over these projects?
Sure.
Just quickly, if you could summarize in maybe just a few sentences each one of these projects, so we have a sense of what they are and why they were selected.
Sure, so it looks H Street from Kendall Drive to 40th, there's a 2 to 4 lane project. There's a public share and a development share. We're talking about item 15 at this point.
Okay.
There's the widening of 16th Street to Foothill Boulevard. Public share, once again, of 67.6% and a development share of 32.4%. There is a 40th Street from Johnson to Electric. It's again the same criteria of 67.6 and the development share of 32.4.
Okay. H Street from Kendall to 40th.
Sure.
What's that? Is that?
8th Street from Kendall Drive to 40th Street.
Right on the edge, I think it is in the 4th Ward.
And I did skip over the Mount Vernon Street project.
Right, okay.
Right.
So H to 40th, I guess that's been something that's been on there for quite some time?
That's correct.
Okay. And I guess that's a thoroughfare, huh? That's a
Yep.
heavily traveled thoroughfare. Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and approve that one, but I do have, I'll move to approve 15. On 16, I do have a couple additional questions, so we can either move them together or I'll just go and ask my questions on 16.
Sure, why don't you go ahead.
Councilman Mulvihill.
Yeah, Chris, I just have a criticism about your cartography. I can't, on page 137 on the item number 15,
okay.
There's 4 items, and I could only find 3. Don't worry about it now, obviously, but here you can identify the streets, but you can't identify the streets that the improvements are being made on. Maybe if you did the city in quadrants, or you blew up this particular area that you're trying to show where the improvements are going to take place. I'm looking at page 137.
Sure.
Because, you have ovals there, and again, I picked up the big ovals, but the little ones, it took me a long time to find. It's almost like one of these things you see in a magazine. You're trying to...
Yeah, it's much easier in color, and I apologize for that.
And then on 145, you see the ovals around where the improvements are going to take, but you don't see the streets.
I'm sorry, what was that?
On 145, the same, the map on for
Okay.
item number 16. Obviously, you can see where the improvements are going to be made, but you don't know what the streets are that are taking place on. And so again, maybe if you subdivided this and provided a little bit better indication of just what you're trying to show. And again, it's real difficult to I recognize 28th Street, I believe, but I'm not sure. And then I'm not quite sure what some of these other ones are. But again, it's just the basic cartography.
Sure. Maybe we can break that up into different pages for you next time.
Thank you.
Sure.
One other thing, if I might, real quick. One of the confusions about this is that this isn't the whole capital budget. So there's street projects that aren't funded from this funding source that don't show up at all.
That's right.
And taken out of context, it makes it look like certain streets are done and other streets aren't. We really wanted to adopt this. We've actually been sitting on this for a while. We thought it'd be better to adopt it at the same time you're adopting the capital budget. But it looks like the capital budget's going to get adopted with the budget process instead of this process. So we couldn't really wait longer to bring this in. But I'm sorry, because you're right. The presentation doesn't give the whole picture of the whole city funding situation. There's streets that are getting work done that aren't included here. It's not this funding source.
Councilman Valdivia.
Thank you, Mayor. Mark, packet page 142 and 143, you can't see it, but I'm very appreciative of staff for the big blow-up that we got at our desk, so thank you, staff, for providing that. This is kind of the big print that we can see, so I do appreciate that. Mr. Alanis, the good news is that we have the liberty. My understanding is that both items 15 and 16, we need to codify tonight, and it's important that we send this off. But the liberty and freedom to work with staff offline, this is just what we're sending to SBCTA.
That's correct.
We have the liberty to amend and kind of work with your staff and our city manager to amend this. Is that right?
Yes. That's our CIP.
Right.
Correct.
So I think this is just more of a procedural thing that we need to get done, and the beauty is that we can work our own passions and energies and our own particular concerns in our respective wards, which I frequently do, and Mark, you know that I'm always on my CIP, because that's how you get things done in your district.
And overall, Measure I is a much more limiting source of funds anyway.
So, very good. Move for approval if it hasn't already been.
I just have
Councilman Nichol.
just a couple other quick questions for item 16. Now, this is the measure, just not to be confused with our CIP, this is the Measure I CIP.
Yes, the MI CIP.
Which is dependent upon our CIP, so.
Correct.
Right, so it's appended into. To look at item 16, so for approval tonight, we are approving the 5-year capital improvement program for Measure I, local expenditures and expenditure strategy, and those projects are identified on this list.
That's
right?
correct. Those that are funded by Measure I, that's correct.
Okay, so, and these ones that begin with
SS, that's correct.
They are the ones that are actually funded now.
That's correct.
Okay, the ones that do not have SS are not funded currently, right, on the second page?
Correct.
Okay. So, looking at the funded projects on the first page that begin with SS, I did have a couple questions regarding several of these projects. Obviously, the Measure H street widening is also under item 15, so it's on both this item and 15, so it's getting funding from both funding sources, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and I see under this Exhibit A, project SS04-052, this is for design only, right? So this isn't for construction?
It would be constructed after you have development fees and your local match funded, things of that nature.
Okay, so when do we anticipate the actual construction of the Measure H street widening from Kendall Drive to 40th? Because I see this is design only through 2020 for $1,022,000.
Staff has advised me it'd be well after 2020.
Construction?
Correct.
So we're going to spend $1 million on design.
That's correct. And that'd be the same as the widening of 40th, because there's real property involved in acquiring things of that nature.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and the question was posed to me just because the dollar amount for design for such a relatively short stretch of street, and then the question was posed to me, was that accurate? And what you're telling me is that is accurate.
That's correct.
$1 million for the design of that. Okay. Project SS 15-008, the Irvington Avenue. This is pavement rehabilitation between Chestnut Avenue to Palm Avenue. A question was posed to me. That's a very high-traffic area. We have elementary school nearby. Consistently, there's high congestion when school is both going into session in the morning, coming out of session in the evening. The request was put to me to look at the possibility of having a left turn signal and signal lane. Is that something that we could perhaps append into this, specifically looking at Palm South at that intersection? There's quite a bit of traffic, quite a bit of congestion. There's no left turn lane, which means there's backups, there's people getting out of their car. It's very dangerous. You have kids walking around, you have cars swerving around each other. Is there a way that we could perhaps append into this, or maybe look into the possibility of having a left turn lane there?
I'm sure we could add something into that with our traffic team.
Okay, I just don't want to get too far down the road with this project. I keep getting complaints from the neighbors and parents that it's an extremely dangerous intersection, and I want to make sure that we've looked into this before we go too far with it.
Sure. Just added that note with Saba here to add that for her team to look into that.
Okay, and then finally, one last item. I see project SS 10-007 toward the top, SBX, Rapid Transit Corridor Project Inspection Costs. This is RDA. My understanding was that who has responsibility now for SBX? Is the city still having to expend funds and be part of that project, or has the ownership and responsibility of maintenance and operation completely transferred to Omnitrans?
So some of these funds have already been expended. So you're looking at 16 budget, 16, 17.
Which is this year?
That's correct.
Okay, and this is the last year of this project?
Correct. That's correct.
This one will drop off then? Won't see it again?
A lot of these projects are dropping off.
Okay, okay. I'll go ahead and move for approval.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Are you moving both of them?
Yes.
15 and 16?
Yes.
On items 15 and 16, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Nichol, the second by Mr. Valdivia, and both items passed 6-0 with Ms. Marquez absent.
Thank you. We now move to a public hearing. Recommendations to continue the public hearing that opened at the Mayor and City Council meeting of March 6, 2017, related to the placement of liens for refuse accounts delinquent as of the second quarter 2016, third quarter 2016, fourth quarter, October through November 2016, and adopt the resolution. Adopting the resolution authorizing the city manager or his or her designee to file liens against certain properties for delinquent refuse accounts with the San Bernardino County Auditor Controller Recorder. Do you have any public speakers on this issue?
Move for approval.
A motion and a second? That includes the close of the public hearing.
On item 19, the public hearing, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Valdivia, the second by Mr. Mulvihill, and it passed 6-0.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is item 20, recommendation that the mayor and city council direct staff to move forward with the fiscal 2017-18 Community Development Block Grant application, assuming that the allowable 15% public service funds will be allocated to federally mandated fair housing programs and to city capital improvement activities for a period of up to 5 years. City manager?
I'm going to start this and then turn it over to Diane. This item brings forward a recommendation that we reviewed first with the City Council CDBG Committee. We had a couple of good meetings on this subject and other subjects. In fact, we're going to bring back the entire CDBG workshop topic with the council as soon as we can get a date. But there was one item in there that is timely, and that relates to what is referred to usually in CDBG language as the 15% public service funding. So every year when we get our CDBG funding, Community Development Block Grant funding, we're allowed to allocate up to 15% of that money to local nonprofits to do eligible activities within the community. And our city has done that, I would assume most of the time in the past, as have many cities around the country. During the downturn, there was a little bit of a trend away from that because budgets declined so badly, and cities that were having trouble dealing with their own capital needs found it critical to use the amount of funding. We're talking about something in the $400,000 to $500,000 range here. The cities found it more useful to allocate those funds to local capital projects. When we did our CIP workshop recently, we talked about the fact that this money is, because it's being allocated to nonprofits, we don't have the opportunity to use it for things like parks that are dramatically underfunded or some of the other eligible neighborhood improvements that would be CDBG eligible, but that we don't have funds to do. It's a hard trade-off, obviously, because I think it was something between 20 and 25 agencies in the city were funded relatively small amounts, but to them, some of them will say it's not small, to do certain activities within the community. We're actually making the recommendation to stop doing that the funding of the community nonprofits for the foreseeable future, and to allocate that money instead toward that long list of capital projects that we just don't have the money to do here in San Bernardino. We wanted to bring this up right away because nonprofits have a budget year to worry about, and it's better for them to find out earlier than later if they're not going to be funded. So to put this off until May or June to make a decision like that, we didn't think was appropriate. So we're recommending that the City Council at this time make a policy decision not to fund the 15% to fund the local nonprofits, but instead to use it for two purposes. One is mandated fair housing program elements, and I'm sure Diane can tell us how much that's been budgeted in the past. The bulk of it would go towards the city's capital projects. This would then negate the need to go through the CDCAC process that we've done in the past, which was to do essentially a notice of availability of funding, and people then make competitive proposals and they go through a rating process. We don't want to obviously start that unless the City Council gives us direction that you want to continue to use the money in that way. There is still money that is available through the ESG program, the Emergency It's not called emergency.
Solution.
It's-
Emergency Solutions Grant.
Is it emergency solutions? The homeless program funding, and there were 4, I think, agencies here locally last year that were funded through that. We will continue to provide that to the council as a program we support doing the funding for. So it doesn't completely eliminate all funding of nonprofits, but it would stop the funding of the 15%. You want to add anything to that?
There's nothing I can add. You did.
How much do we spend on fair housing?
Fair housing, we did $54,000 this year. Typically, it's around $54,000.
Councilmember Valdivia?
5-4.
5-4, 54,000.
Correct.
Councilman Valdivia?
Thank you, Mayor. I wholeheartedly support this. Mark, I think your ability to coalesce around the ideas of providing a tangible benefit back to the taxpayer is awesome. This is what I have been strongly advocating for about 5 years, that we get back to basics here, and this does that. I wholeheartedly support this. This is bringing back the basics. We certainly need a hiatus from providing this. We're not obligated to. It's a recommendation from the federal government. So I want to move for approval on this. This is awesome. This is what we need to do to get some public works projects done here in our city. My position is that I certainly appreciate the nonprofits. I think they have a valuable place here in our community. I commend them for their wholehearted, yes, I do. You can shake your head no, but that's fine. I certainly wholeheartedly support nonprofits. They have an awesome mission and objective. But we cannot continue to do this bit of charity all the time. We have to get back to the basics of what city government is expected to do. And so, thank you, Mark. Thank you for this. This is headed in the right direction. I hope my peers here do support this.
Councilman Mulvihill?
No, and I have to say that I really support this as well. It's really unfortunate that the nonprofits will be, the needs that they have will not be met by us. But it's not just the downturn that took place, but it's also the closure of the redevelopment agency. The redevelopment agency used to provide the city directly $8 million worth of support, and that was a major contributor to our bankruptcy. And as well as generating about $35 million worth of business. And it's because of that we really we've got a long list of capital needs that our residents, our constituents ask for, from the streets to everything else that we've got on our CIP project list. So again, I'll be supporting this as well.
Councilman Nickel?
Yeah, well, I too support it, but I think that I have an additional concern that within the last week, the administration has released its budget blueprint, which includes the elimination of CDBG. Though this is a tough decision to make, and I understand this is going to drastically transform the way in which a number of our local nonprofits operate, should this budget recommendation be approved by Congress, we will not have CDBG dollars, period. So I think it's incumbent upon us to start facing the realities not just of the fiscal situation we confront in our city, but the fiscal circumstances we now face on a national level. This is a federal program, and it does appear likely, given the mood of Washington, that this CDBG may disappear altogether. So this is a new reality. I think it's time for us to adjust accordingly. It's tough, but I think it's necessary, and so I will support this. And thank you for your work on this, City Manager.
Councilman Schreck?
How much is the 15%? Is it about $450,000?
Correct. It's actually $472,279.
$472,000. I agree with a lot of my colleagues, and of course, waiting on Washington or Sacramento, that's we'd be better off down at up at San Manuel, I think. This is really tough. I have a hard time. It's a lot of money by itself, but in the big picture, is it really a lot of money? When we were $1 billion down in deferred maintenance, which is to the tune of $100 million a year over a 10-year period, $450,000 that helps nonprofits in a poor community, kind of doesn't seem like a lot. I get it. I understand that we do have a. Am I generally right in that general concept, Mark, that this is kind of a small amount? It's a big amount, but it's kind of a small amount in the big picture.
I think the way I'd put it in perspective, when we adopted our plan of adjustment coming out of bankruptcy, the budget line that provides funding for parks projects is something like $49,000 a year.
Yeah.
If we had $400,000 extra to put into parks projects, it's almost 10 times the number of park projects we can do in a year. Not that you necessarily will send it all to parks, but that's a place where we're dramatically underfunded. That would make a huge difference to serving a lot of people in this town.
And I agree with that, and that's a really good point, and I thank you for that. On the other hand, we've got too many parks. I think we've said that here publicly, that we've got something like 42 or 50 parks. And I think we need to take a real serious look. We still need to fund the parks. We've got a half a dozen major parks that are centrally located, that everybody kind of has access to within, I think, each ward. And we've got to start looking at thinking out of the box in terms of those. I took a lot of heat a few years ago when I tried to help get some development up at Wildwood Park, and you would have thought that I had, wow, that was pretty tough. Robert's here to prove it. And yet I've had some people that have come to me recently and said, maybe that wasn't such a bad idea after all. And is there any chance of revisiting that? And I'm not saying to revisit it. I'm just simply saying we need to think out of the box in the way we fund things in the future. And public-private partnerships are that's the new buzzword, and that's what everybody's talking about, and that's what we need to be looking at and be thinking out of the box. So I appreciate your comments on the parks and the $470,000 that might a large. I'm aware of one nonprofit that is doing a phenomenal job. They all are, I think, but I'm aware of one specific one that's we funded to the tune of about $25,000, and it's going back to the Ollie McDonald. It's supporting our seniors, and I don't think there's anyone up here that would say probably any of the 20 or 22 or so on the list are not worthy. So it's a very difficult decision to make. And yet I agree that if Washington's going to pull the plug on that, and it kind of becomes a moot point. So if we don't do it now and start preparing for it and kind of tightening our belt now, when it does come, if and when it comes from Washington, it'll even be harder. So I haven't punched a button yet up here on this item, so I'm still kind of wavering.
Councilmember Richard.
Thank you, Mayor. This, too, was a hard decision for me. I want to thank you, Mark, for clarifying, making a lot of things clear. I remember when I was out knocking on doors and during my campaign, and everybody was talking about repairing streets, lighting. And when you think about it, although the nonprofits are doing a great job, but we also have to worry about our constituents and the citizens of San Bernardino that are living here and want to see great improvement. So with that, I support this, and, and I hope that too many people don't get too upset. I don't want too many phone calls tomorrow about this, but at the same time, I want everybody to think about this is for the betterment of the city, and it's for the betterment of the residents and our children, so we need to think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. No further discussions, please vote.
We have to? Well, I do support fireworks for the dollar. Is that a Brown Act violation?
On item 20, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Valdivia, the second by Mr. Charette.
Oh, I didn't second it.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry. The second by Mr. Barrios. I was thinking of Mr. Charette. And the vote is 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is item 21, adopt a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, California, authorizing an increase from $5,000 to $10,000 in the purchase order 2017-742 issued to Out of the Box Printing R81 for military banners and hardware. Mr. Scott?
I've got to admit, I don't have the details on this. It's probably something that I could have approved with city manager authority, but it came through the agenda process from the council office. So I brought it forward, just assuming council wanted to understand it.
Have a motion. Councilmember Richard.
I have a question for the city attorney. I want to make sure this is not a conflict of interest for me because my daughter is receiving one of the banners.
Actually, no city funds are used for the military banners. It's all based on donations. So I think you're fine.
Thank you.
On item 21, the military banner purchase order, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Valdivia, the second by Mr. Nichol, and it passed 6-0.
Thank you. Next is item 22, recommendation to open the nominations for a member of the City Council to serve as Mayor Pro Tem until March 19, 2018. What did I say?
No, you're right. But that's not what the backup says.
Yeah.
Councilmember Schreck.
This is an item that I'm not sure even should be on here tonight due to the new charter. And I think on item 25, we're approving the first reading of the ordinances that will deal with this Mayor Pro Tem position. This is what we would have typically done. Under the old charter, we would have voted in this second month of March for Mayor Pro Tem position. I guess if we did this tonight, it really is not covered under the new charter, but the new ordinance hasn't been passed, and it calls for, so if we did this tonight, we'd be passing the ordinance, I'm assuming, and then have to go through the process again in a short period of time.
Correct. Once the ordinance is amended or a new ordinance is passed, it has to have 2 readings and then
Right.
take effect for another 30 days. So you have a gap between.
Now, about 45 days roughly or something like that.
Right.
In that
So
January.
you could do nothing. You could vote to extend the term of the current Mayor Pro Tem until the new ordinance goes into effect. It's really up to you.
It seems to me that we probably ought to just, this shouldn't have been on here. I don't think.
That very well may be. It certainly changed based on the council discussion at the special meeting, and the item had already been submitted.
Yeah.
You could.
And I don't think we should go, my opinion is I don't think we should go without one. I mean, I wouldn't, and so I.
It takes a vote to extend.
It seems to me that we would maybe continue that. I don't know what the proper, it wouldn't continue it, just
I would
not support it,
as perhaps either you can table it
table it.
or I can't tell you what else to
Yeah.
do.
Well,
motion.
I retract that then. Tell us what we can do.
You can either table this item, or you can make a motion to extend the current Mayor Pro Tem's term until the new ordinance is effective.
That'd be my motion.
Yeah.
Councilman Nichol,
No, I was simply going to make a motion to that effect. I think we just need to deal with this, and then we'll address it once the ordinance is.
Do we have a motion to extend the Mayor Pro Tem till the adoption of the ordinance?
Till the effective date of the new ordinance.
Is that understood? We have a motion and a second? Councilmember Charette was the mover.
On item 22, the motion was to extend the current term of the pro tem until the effective date of the ordinance. The motion was made by Mr. Charette, the second by Mr. Mulvihill, and it passed 6-0.
Very good. Thank you. Next is item 23. Adopt a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino, California, approving the purchase and sale agreement between the City of San Bernardino and the successor agency to the redevelopment agency of the City of San Bernardino with respect to 280 South East Street, San Bernardino, California, APN 0136-11-26, and approving certain related actions, and adopt a resolution of the successor agency to the redevelopment agency of the City of San Bernardino, approving the purchase and sale agreement between the City of San Bernardino and the successor agency to the redevelopment agency of the City of San Bernardino with respect to 280 South East Street, San Bernardino, California, APN 0136-11-26, and approving certain related actions.
Move approved.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Ready.
We're on deck.
We were ready.
On item 23, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Mulvihill, the second by Mr. Charette, and it passed 6-0.
You all hit a home run.
Very convincing.
Is that
It was our oral argument, so impressive.
Excuse me.
We have the next one, too.
Very convincing.
That's both resolutions.
Very.
For both resolutions.
Both resolutions. One for the city, one for the successor agency.
Correct.
Thank you. Item number 24, adopt a resolution of the Mayor and City Council in its capacity as the successor agency to the redevelopment agency of the City of San Bernardino, approving the purchase and sale agreement and joint escrow instructions between the successor agency and David Freeman with respect to 385 North E Street, San Bernardino, APN 0134-241-64, and approving certain related actions.
Move to approve.
Mayor,
Councilmember? A motion and a second?
point of clarification, was item number 23, did that have to do with Mr. Friedman as well?
No,
Just this item, number 23?
just this item.
Or 24?
Yes, 24.
Is that right? I'll have to recuse myself and abstain on this, and I'll be leaving the room. A business relation with Mr. Friedman.
We have a motion and a second.
On item 24, the motion to approve was made by Mr. Nichol, the second by Mr. Mulvihill, and it passes 5-0 with Councilmember Valdivia abstaining.
Thank you. We appreciate Mr. Duquette, Assistant City Manager, and Mr. Deputy City Attorney for your very concise and succinct presentation. Thank you very much.
You probably all know me a little better, but David Friedman's here, so we wish him well. Do a good job, my friend, right up in the back. Okay.
Thank you.
And they did, by the way, the group did a remarkable job with those two items, getting them done as quickly as possible. So they were quiet, but they did a lot of work behind the scenes.
Item number 25, ordinance amending portions of Chapter 1.08 of the San Bernardino Municipal Code relating to ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 2.02 regarding the position of city manager. Ordinance repealing and replacing Section 2.01.010 of the Municipal Code regarding the Mayor Pro Tem. An ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 2.58 regarding meetings and reaffirm the appointment of Mark Scott as city manager to conform to the city's charter.
Move for approval.
A motion and second. No further discussion. Please vote.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may, we do have a blank line in one of those ordinances. And that's the ordinance related to the meetings where the council was going to discuss and set the time for the meetings.
Thank you.
You mean,
Yeah.
you should do it now? Is that
Yeah.
your recommendation?
You need to do it for the first reading.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need to do that now?
Mayor, so, yes, let me just clarify. So it's item 2.58.010, Mayor and City Council. Regular meetings of the Mayor and City Council of the City of San Bernardino shall be held on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month, commencing at, and this is what needs to be filled in, time for closed session and time for open session. Councilmember Valdivia?
Mayor, I want to respect the discussion that obviously will be had here at the dais. My position is we certainly need to be transparent in our deliberations. I have long been an advocate of switching out the time, not necessarily the day. On Tuesday at our charter workshop, I did reveal and disclose to the public that it certainly, as I was kind of processing things and working things out publicly, I think it is a good choice that we move it from a Monday. I do understand that there is another council member here that has another life situation, and I think he will probably be sharing that regarding his work schedule on a Tuesday night. So I am sympathetic. I haven't made up my mind. I would like to propose having and sensing kind of some offline conversation with Mr. Science in previous months that I think we could probably narrow our focus on legal workshop or the closed session aspect and get it down to about an hour. I don't know if Mr. Science, if that's something that's workable or...
I think I've been considering that since well before you and I had our conversation of ways to expedite in closed session. I think we can accomplish that. An hour is a 50% reduction in the amount of time we have, so that's pretty significant. But I think we can work with that, and maybe after if it's not working, if it's too short a period of time on a regular basis, then we can make some adjustments. But I think it's possible that we can get through an hour, given that we know we have that much time, and so we can expedite. Sometimes, obviously, there are times when that's not going to be possible. There are times when we have so many items on, or items of great significance that can't be done. But otherwise, I like to give it a shot. We've already, within the office, had discussions of ways we might be able to reduce the time. So,
wonderful. Well, that's good to hear. So I'd like to propose that we, at least for right now, and I know there will probably be some other discussion points here from council members, I'd like to suggest that we have closed session beginning at 5:30 and our open session beginning at 6:30, and day, I guess, of the calendar week to be discussed. I would like it Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm amenable and open to others here, but I think starting after the 5 o'clock hour certainly has a lot of benefits for our public, and I want to express that and hope that we consider that tonight. Thank you.
Councilmember Stratton.
Can we separate voting on the days from the times? Because I do not support changing the times. I think if we can compact that, particularly not 5:30. 5 o'clock will be an hour before the public. The public has plenty of time to get here by 6 o'clock. I'm not real supportive of that. However, part of the reason for that is in past, we've had, I think we're doing much better on our agendas, getting them done in a reasonable period of time, in number of hours. I know when I was first elected, we were going to 11 o'clock and midnight, and we were starting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, I think we started at 3. That's longer. You've been here longer than I.
When I first started, we started at 9 a.m.
Yeah, I know, in the morning. I understand that. And
and then
yeah, and then we did go to 3, but then with the bankruptcy and everything, we went back to 2. and start for closed session so we could be here by 4. We were going very, very long. And it was largely, I think, because we were pulling so many items from the consent item, which consent typically should be non-controversial, blow through here stuff, and I think, Mark, you've done a good job of paring that down and getting that taken care of. So I won't support starting at 5:30. I'll support starting at 5. I'd even prefer 4, but, and then 4 o'clock for closed session and 5 o'clock for open session. But I don't think there's the will to do that here tonight. So if we can separate out I don't want to not vote on going to Tuesday or Wednesday, because I support that. I think that's important.
If I can clarify?
Yes.
There's no way to separate it out.
There is no way?
In order to put it in an ordinance, we need to have a day and a time.
Okay, then I don't support the change of time.
I mean, what you can do is you can have a motion, which I haven't heard a motion yet, and then vote on that. If it doesn't pass, then you can do another motion and vote on that.
Councilman Barrios.
Moving the meetings to a Tuesday does impact me significantly. I'll probably be here half the time, if that, at best. So if we are going to move the day, I'll request that we move it to a Wednesday. Thank you.
Wednesday does impact many of the meetings that the mayor is expected to attend. Many of those are requirements of our participation in those boards. However, most of those meetings are in the morning, and so later in the evening, it'll put a burden on the mayor to then have all of those additional meetings on that particular day. So Wednesday does create additional significant amount of coordination of trying to accomplish those. Council members.
Could I just be reminded what the motion on the floor is currently?
I don't believe there is a motion on the floor at this
I
point.
thought there was a motion.
So I'll make the motion. I respect the colleagues, certainly the mayor's schedule and the burdens that are placed upon him during the 8 to 5 hour. Respectfully, I think we need to, the obvious choice is moving it from a Monday, which is extremely difficult for our staff to take our calls, and we're in a rush mode to make all of our calls, if we haven't done it, the weekend prior to that Monday. And as I have expressed before, many of us, we're all volunteer council members, essentially. And I want to make the motion, so it'd be starting at 5:30 with open session at 6:30, 5:30 closed session, and I'd like to move it for a Wednesday.
I will second that motion.
Any further discussion? Please vote.
Are we doing separate votes on 1 through 4 and then 1 through 3 and 5, and then a separate vote on 4?
That's what I'm asking. Is this vote specifically for ordinance 4 only? Okay, I'm going to...
No, I thought that this was for all, because I read all ordinances.
I would suggest that, and I would defer to the city attorney, that we take them as separate items. So all ordinances take as a separate item, and then the ratification.
Just to clarify, when the mayor read all 5, there was a motion and a second, and then we told you had to add something.
And that was my concern, was that we had a standing motion on the floor. But what I would be willing to do is, if the maker of the motion would be willing to amend the motion to incorporate the previous motion, which is to adopt 1, 2, 3, and 5, plus the recommendation for item 4, which is to meet on a Wednesday, what is it, the second and fourth Wednesday?
Second and fourth.
Second and fourth Wednesday, 5:30 closed session, 6:30 open session. I will support, if you're willing to amend your
Yes.
motion, I will second that.
Yeah, happy to.
So that's, through the chair, so you're suggesting that we still vote on all 5 of them at the same time?
Right, yeah, because I don't know if there's any controversy with 1, 2, 3, or 5. It didn't sound like there was.
No, and that's why I'd like to separate those out and vote on 4 by itself.
Perhaps you can do a motion to do 1, 2, 3, and 5.
That'd be my substitute motion.
Well, we have a motion on the floor, we can just
Substitute
vote.
motion,
If it
1, 2,
fails, then
3,
we
and
can go
5.
back to that motion, correct?
So we have a substitute motion
Correct.
to
You should vote on the
Adopt
substitute
one.
motion first, and then the original motion second.
1, 2, 3, and 5.
Second.
I'm sorry.
we have a motion and a second for the substitute motion to approve 1, 2, 3, and 5.
You might need to clear,
You might need to clear the board.
right. By me and seconded by John. You need to clear that, clear this.
1, 2. I'm sorry, I'm having to. Okay, please push your buttons concerning the alternate motion approving the ordinances 1, 2.
Fred, did you second that, or did you move it?
Fred was the mover.
Fred was the mover, and Mr. Valdivia.
Councilmember Valdivia was the second.
On the substitute motion to approve ordinances 1, 2, 3, and 5, with the motion made by Mr. Charette and the second by Mr. Valdivia, the item passed 6-0.
Regarding item number 4, sir?
That was 1, 2, and 5, 1, 2, 3, and 5.
Correct.
Right, and that, you're making a motion.
Yes,
item
if I may, sir.
4.
There's already a motion, the original motion was for filling the blanks with the second and fourth Wednesdays, closed session at 5:30, open session at 6:30 was moved by Mr. Valdivia and seconded
That is correct.
by Mr. Nichol.
Do we need to establish the effective date for that to take place and be
On the
implemented?
readings.
No, it'll be, if it's passed tonight, it will go for second reading at our next meeting, and then after, if it passes that night, it goes into effect 30 days after.
Thank you. No further discussion, please vote.
On the motion regarding the ordinance and the starting times, with the motion made by Mr. Valdivia, the second by Mr. Nichol, the vote is 4-2, with Charette and Mulvihill voting no, and Ms. Marquez absent.
And I will veto.
The mayor vetoes it, and the item fails.
Mr. Mayor, point of order, I'd like to take the floor motion and provide a substitute if possible. Sensing that the mayor certainly has obligations of his busy schedule on Wednesday, I'd like to see if we could possibly move this meeting to then a Tuesday, the second and fourth Tuesday, with those same dates of 5:30 and 6:30.
I will second that motion.
On the motion before the board, which is moving the council meetings to the second and fourth Tuesday with closed session starting at 5:30 and open session at 6:30, the motion was made by Mr. Valdivia and the second by Mr. Nichol. And the item failed. I'm sorry.
And I will vote
Item.
to affirm that.
The mayor passes it.
So the meetings will be held if we go through the second reading, assuming no change. They will be the second and fourth Tuesdays, starting at 5:30 for closed session, 6:30 for open session. That concludes our staff reports. Do we have any items to be referred to council committees? Do we have anything from our... Thank you. We'll go to public speakers. Robert Porter. Thank you. Jason DeJarnis.
Hi, Mayor, Council. It's been a few years since I was sitting on the dais, and I want to thank you very much for item 20. I know I missed that discussion. I feel vindicated. It was something that I had brought up way back in 2010 and was vilified for it. Councilman Charette, I feel your pain. I tried to do what you wanted to do with the parks back then as well. I think we had an agreement on that. The item that I also wanted to go a bit further was the libraries, because that's an atrophied part that probably is part of the city that needs to be privatized or, partnered up. The parks, I think we do have a lot of access in the city in each ward, but certain parks could probably be, I don't want to say shuttered, but maybe sold off to private development. So we still have access to our landmark beautiful parks. We have Succomi Lake that probably needs more attention. We have Meadowbrook, Lido Creek. I'm trying to think, I did a bunch of trees over in the 6th Ward off of Darby. Anyways, you guys are in a great position, I think, moving forward. I really think that the city is going in the right direction, get government out of nonprofits. I sit on 2 boards, Friends of Roosevelt Park, or Roosevelt Bowl and Friends of Reagan Park, where we use the committee's donations out of our own pockets, and then we also do certain events where we fund the item or the improvements and whatnot ourselves, where we're not asking the city for stuff, but yet the whole proceeds and the purpose of the nonprofit is to benefit the city. But we're going in the right direction, and like I said, I feel vindicated. So thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Anthony Fernandez.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm actually here today representing the coalition of groups and citizens who spoke at the last council meeting in regards to the letter sent by the mayor to President Trump. And as you recall, part of our demands in regards to that letter was a proposal for a town hall meeting between the council, for the council to engage directly with our groups and the citizens in order to discuss solutions to the problems that were addressed in the letter. So I'm basically just here today in the capacity to just update you on some of the details that we have in terms of the time and date that we had set for the proposed town hall. So we are currently proposing a tentative date for Thursday, April 27th, and the time would be between 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And we currently do not have a venue set for the proposed meeting, but once we do have that and other details, those will be sent directly to you. We actually will be sending a formal invitation to all of you that will include all the details once we get those all hammered out. And that's pretty much it. Just updating you guys on that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Jay Lindberg.
Yeah, a little follow-up on this letter, and I gave Gigi a little poem that I wrote for this special occasion. Y'all might appreciate it. It's called Mayor Davis and His Cronies on a Hemp Rope. Send this jackbooted mayor a message they will understand. For where freedom did prevail and justice was a swift backhand. We will not waste the taxpayers' money putting you in jail. We will not accept your stolen loot and claim it as your bail. We're tired of your bullshit, you claim it as just dope. But we have learned the truth, old friend. We have a hempen rope. So when we stretch your sleazy necks and lynch your friends as well, you'll be in excellent company with all your friends in hell. Now this is where it gets kind of straightforward. When we started this war on drugs, they lied like hell to get it off the ground. They claimed it made white women unnaturally attracted to black men and, all sorts of other stuff. But the main reason was that you had a lot of rich industrialists that wanted this product off the market. You had Hearst and his timber-based paper products. Hemp was a dirt cheap competitor. You had DuPont with the oil-based synthetics markets. Industrial hemp was a competitor. Of course, you had, your nylon ropes, and hemp was a really good alternative. You had the oil industry, and you had an alternative fuel source. So you had a lot of rich people out there promoting a war against the raw material for profit. Who are they fighting? Who was going to be the victim of this war? It was the American citizen. So when I talk about this war against marijuana, industrial hemp, as a war against American citizens for profit, there's a really good foundation for that. So that's where I'm coming from here. And it's obvious that, and the ASA just forced the DEA to clean up its website on marijuana. There were 24 misstatements on their website, like gateway drug, more dangerous than tobacco, all that crap. They had to pull it off their website. So the stuff that they fed you at that conference, you may want to look back on their website, and you may want to see, well, I guess they lied to us. So you were able to keep this crap going. So a war against American citizens is treason, old dear friend, so watch your back and cover your ass. The hunt will soon begin.
Mr. Lindbergh, your time's expired.
Yes, your money will not save you. It blows in the wind. Thank you.
Robert Porter.
City Manager, Council, Mayor, good people. I'd like to mention that I Love San Bernardino today reached 40,000 group members. Pretty cool. Surprised me that it got this big in the first place, but now we're trying to take it to the next level with the good help of my partner. We threw a pet festival last Saturday. We helped chip 200 animals in San Bernardino, and we helped get vaccines for about 400. So it helps a lot of animals and people who are poor on the west side to have these programs. So we're going to keep doing them and try to help as many pups as we can. But I'd like to mention Team I Love San Bernardino Pet Festival, the Elks Lodge, I Love San Bernardino, I Love San Bernardino TV, Me Encanta San Bernardino, Cause for SB Paws, Aussie Rescue SoCal, Aussie Rescue San Diego and Friends, Daisy Foundation, Dream Team Angel Rescue, Pet Crusade Animal Health, Maria Sanchez, Team Soul, and Friends of the Home. And we all got together and we did a great job out there, and we plan on doing more. And I'd also like to mention a young homeless, I guess he's a man now, he's 18 years old, met him in Starbucks. I asked him, I said, why are you homeless at 18? He goes, that dang foster care program. I'm just too old to be in foster care and don't have nowhere to go. It's like, well, what do you do? He goes, I live at Wildwood. Okay. Well, there's no program. Like, I heard there's a man program coming up here that they're starting. No programs. All we get is kicked out of the park every day. And if I was going to say anything at City Hall, I would say that, could you just please treat us nice? It's like, you want me to tell the mayor to treat you nice? Okay. So, Mr. Mayor, he asked me to tell you to treat the homeless nice in Wildwood Park. Now, Mr. Fred Charette today is going after the parks again?
Not what I said.
I hope not, because that public relations campaign will snap right to attention as soon as I hear that you're going to try to touch Wildwood Park at all. This public-private partnership sometimes works. It does sometimes work, but sometimes it doesn't. And I think public parks should remain public with the people. Now, we just added another park. Maybe you can get the water department to pay for a few more. Thank you very much.
Thank you. No further public comments. Do we have any announcements from the dais? Councilmember Shire? Councilmember Nichol?
Just quickly, there will be a residential community dump day at Blair Park on Saturday, March 25th. Address is 1466 West Marshall Boulevard. You can contact BirdTech for more information at 909-889-1969. And finally, I do have an announcement on April 1st. The Norton Air Force Base Museum will be celebrating its 4th anniversary from 11:30 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. at the Norton Air Force Base Museum. Free parking. Contact the museum at 909-382-7307 for more information. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Charette.
I don't have any announcements, but I'd like everyone to take note that if, when we start again, we'll be starting right now. We're done tonight, and if we, when the new ordinance passes, we'll be starting right about this minute. Thank you.
Councilmember Valdivia. Councilmember Barrios.
Just one announcement, Mayor. Thank you. On March 22nd, this Wednesday, at 9 a.m., San Bernardino Southwest District Coffee with a Cop will be held at Michael's Burgers at 940 West Highland Avenue. For information on that meeting, contact Colleen Hards at 909-384-5694. Thank you.
Thank you. City Attorney, City Manager.
Just want to say Godspeed to Ms. Marquez's mom, and we look forward to her return.
Thank you. City Clerk.
Nothing to it.
Thank you. This meeting's adjourned until April 3rd, 2 p.m. Thank you. Good night.
Set up to instill a sense of community in our neighborhoods and works to partner with others. We hold events, and cleanups like this park here are something really wonderful and positive. If you look around, you'll see a lot of young folks and some families here, and it's great. It's great to see that.
I thought it was going to be really boring, but then when I started to get the hang of it, it really started to be more fun. We want more people to come here and to enjoy the parks, because parks are places for people to enjoy and have fun here. It's not somewhere where people can hurt each other.
This park is being used by a lot of people, and it's a cornerstone here. Wildwood's been around a long time, and we try to keep as many community activities going on here as we possibly can. We're trying to redo the corner. We just redid the front end. We're putting lights on the front end now on our sign with a new log over the entryway, which we took from a tree that was downed in Paris Hill Park. We've got the